I'm Jared Fry, General Manager of Medina TV.
Hi, and I'm Jacqueline Rinksmeyer, Executive Director of the Greater Medina Chamber of Commerce. The mission of the Chamber of Commerce is to serve our member investors and promote business interests through economic development, business advocacy, and member services, which benefits the Greater Medina community. The Chamber is funded by voluntary membership from the business community. It is a not-for-profit, nonpartisan business organization, and we do not receive tax dollars to operate the organization. The Chamber does not endorse candidates, but strives to educate the voters on both the candidates and the issues. And we are pleased to partner with Medina TV to bring these interviews to you. This program would not be possible without this collaboration. So thank you to our interviewer, Jared Fry, and our producer, Matt Tomick.
And as always, the views expressed in these interviews do not necessarily reflect those of Medina TV or the Greater Medina Chamber of Commerce. We thank you for tuning in to the 2022 Candidates Forum and remind you to vote on November 8th. Joining us now in studio is Thomas Teodosio. I knew I was going to get it there, for the Court of Appeals for the 9th District. Thank you for joining us here today.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. Why don't you first just take a few minutes and tell our residents and viewers a little bit about yourself.
All right. I am Judge Thomas A. Teodosio, as I will appear on the ballot. I've been on the Court of Appeals since 2016 when the electorate here in Medina County supported me and put me on the bench. Before that, I had served 10 years as a trial court judge. Trial court judges are what you normally think of as a judge. We have trials with jurors and have to make rulings. After the 10 years, there was a vacancy when Judge Carla Moore retired, and I won and was successful in being elected. This year, I also serve, I should say, as the presiding judge of the 9th District Court of Appeals. Prior to that, I had a law practice for 25 years where it was myself and 2 or 3 other attorneys over the course of time. So it was really a small business. That's unusual for judges, actually, to have that long of a career in the law and then become a judge. And then I should also add that during that 25 years, I served on Summit County Council for 6 years. And that has turned out to be a real blessing for me on the Court of Appeals because Summit County had a charter form of government, meaning some people refer to it as a home rule type of county government. So I gained some legislative experience there as well. I'm married. My wife is the Summit County Juvenile Court Judge. Interesting, she is now the longest serving juvenile court judge in Summit County's history. We have a son, Chris, who's a partner in the law firm of Browse McDowell, and we had a daughter, but we lost her when she was 22.
Oh, sorry to hear that. Nice to see the family tradition in law here from you.
Well, it goes back even further than that. My father was a lawyer and my uncle was a lawyer.
Oh, wow.
That's how we ended up in this area. They're originally from Connecticut, but ended up in Northeast Ohio.
So a lot of people probably aren't familiar with the 9th District Court of Appeals. Kind of explain exactly what happens in the 9th District.
Sure. It's a very important court. I call it the working man's Supreme Court. Now, I say that because we hear appeals from all levels of the courts below us. It could come from Medina Municipal Court, Medina Common Pleas Court, or Lorain, a court in Lorain County, Wayne County, or Summit County. That's the district, those 4 counties. Everybody has a right to an appeal to the state courts of appeals. A defendant, if he cannot afford an attorney, is going to get an attorney appointed to pursue his appeal. On the civil end, everybody has the right. Of course, they have to pay for their own attorney. We don't appoint for those cases. The court consists of 5 judges, 3 of which will sit on a panel to decide cases. We do that on Tuesdays and Thursdays. One of us will be the author judge. I've probably sat on 1,300 panels over the 6 years. and I've probably authored over 500 decisions. That takes some time because what we do is we hear the arguments, then the three of us will get together and conference on it. I'll give my view of what I think, how the case should be decided, and of course I'm going to listen to the other two judges' points of view too. And then if I'm the writing judge, I'll prepare a draft and circulate it to the two other judges. Like I say, it's an important court because the Supreme Court is the only court above us, and they will only take cases of great public interest, something that's going to affect all Ohioans. The redistricting, for instance, is a case they took because it affects every Ohioan. Or they'll take a case where there's a conflict. Let's say the 9th district that we are in decides an issue one way, and the 12th district decides same issue a different way. Well, the Supreme Court's going to take that case to clarify. And interestingly enough, one of the real perks of being an appellate judge is you have the opportunity to actually sit with the Supreme Court, which I had the pleasure of doing before. A beautiful courtroom down there in Columbus. And in addition, the Chief Justice makes that appointment if there's a conflict. One of the justices can't sit. In addition, the chief, I'll say, thought highly enough of me to have me also sit with the 5th District, the 6th District, the 7th District, the 8th District, the 11th District, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, and 11th. So when you throw in the 9th, I've sat in half of the Ohio appellate courts.
Wow. Now you just kind of touched on my next question a little bit for me as we're speaking with the incumbent for the Court of Appeals for the 9th District, Thomas Teodosio. Wanted to just kind of talk about your skill set. Of course, being the incumbent, you have the experience side of it, but what skill set do you bring to this position?
Well, I should mention that we get rated by various bar associations. So the Lorraine Bar Association does a poll that is voted on by attorneys and judges. This is important for me because those are the people that I make decisions. I'm reviewing their decisions. In that poll, I received the very highest score of any of the judges, and it was a highly recommended rating. Just recently in Summit County, the Akron Bar Association did their rating as well, and I received the highest rating there as well of excellent. My skill set, I think, is unique. As I said, 25 years of private practice, and that was a general practice. So I had trials in federal court and in state court. I had trials involving the death penalty to civil matters, civil trials, personal injury, appeared before administrative boards, as well as in the Court of Appeals. And I had the experience of running a small business, which is important, especially since we're here with the Chamber, of course. And I did represent small businesses as well. In addition, when you look at the experience I've gained the first 6 years, and I think I should say this because we have 3 of the 5 judges are up for re-election this year. So I think that experience is even more important this year when we look at it. And as I said, the experience I gained on Summit County Council is unique in that it gave me a sort of experience from the legislative side as well. So I'm very proud of the experience, and I think it's a very important factor in this race.
Now, from the judicial branch and I guess in the 9th District, what do you see as some of the greatest obstacles to justice, or is there any, or what do you see?
Well, it's very important that attorneys prepare a good record for us because we are limited just by what is presented on the record in the lower court. So sometimes cases are decided because the record is deficient, and that leaves you feeling sort of bad because you send it back. Now, a lot of times they have the opportunity to come back before us, but it's justice delayed in those cases. I would say, and probably people get upset with maybe the delay in the release of the opinions, but again, you have to consider there are 3 judges that are reviewing each case, and we really, really strive to do our best to make sure we are correct on the law. And that's extremely important, as I said, because we're often the last stop that people have an opportunity to have their case heard. So we want to make sure we research the law, and we get into the record. Sometimes a record is extremely many boxes. So I think there's some frustration there, but people have to understand that it's a long process, and we don't want to rush to a decision. People say, well, how long should an appeal take? And I said, however much time it takes to get the right answer.
And I guess to that point, what makes your leadership in this position different than that of your candidate?
I think definitely the 10 years I spent on the trial court. In that position, we are a court of error correction. So myself and Judge Callahan, currently on the bench, are the only two judges that have actually served as common pleas court trial judges. So I presided over everything from medical malpractice to death penalty cases where I had to impose a death penalty. That experience is unique in this race. And you have to remember that Judge Callahan is retiring now. So with her leaving the bench, that leaves me with a valuable 10 years of experience as a trial court judge, which I think makes me uniquely qualified, as well as that broad general practice for 25 years. You just don't see that in judges anymore. So a lot of times we'll be hearing cases and judges will say, well, Judge Teodosio, how did you handle that when you were a trial court judge? What do you think about this issue based on your experience as a trial court judge? So I know it's important.
And I'll kind of tie on that, and I think you kind of answered it a little bit here, but how do you believe our residents and viewers and the voters in this area can benefit under your leadership if reelected for office?
I've got a broad background as well. At one time, I was a member of 4 chambers of commerce when I was in private practice. Once you become a judge, it's more difficult to stay active in those things. I know that there's a lot of rural communities in Medina County. I am a member of not only the Medina County Farm Bureau, but the Lorain County Farm Bureau, the Wayne County Farm Bureau, the Summit County Farm Bureau, and the Ohio Farm Bureau. So I understand the issues that rural counties face. And I enjoy my work, and I think my ratings reflect well on me that I've done a good job at it, so I think they'd be well served by re-electing me.
And again, we're speaking with the incumbent for the 9th District Court of Appeals, Thomas Teodosio. And I want to first thank you for taking time to answer my questions, but I want to make sure I give you a few moments that you can talk directly to our residents and voters and let them know anything I may have missed.
Well, you did a great job. I think it was a thorough interview, so thank you for that. I think I would just want them to know that I enjoy my work as an appellate judge. I've been actively involved in the communities that I serve, including Medina County. If you go to www.judgetomteodosio.com, you will see a list of over 100 endorsements that I've received, including law enforcement. I just got the Ohio Patrolmen's Benevolent Association's endorsement, as well as other community leaders. And you'll see a number of very important awards that I've received. I love to mention the St. Thomas More Award because that's given to only one person in the legal profession each year, and I was the recipient in 2022, and that's to somebody who displays excellence in their profession and excellent professionalism in what they do. I would just ask that you consider me as your candidate for re-election and keep excellence on the appellate court.
All right, thank you. Again, the incumbent, Thomas Teodosio, for Court of Appeals for the 9th District. I want to thank you for taking time with us today, and also thank you for the time and running for office again, and wish you the best of luck this November.
Thank you very much for having me.